My name is Daniel Isenberg, and I've been asked by Adenike and Fola to make a few comments to help you open your event in Lagos. So I have a few comments about the theme of your activity. One is that congratulations on a couple of different levels. Congratulations on the launch of Global Entrepreneurship Week. We know that entrepreneurship, in certain circumstances, can be one important driver of prosperity and broad-based prosperity. Secondly, congratulations on just the fact that you're together and you're talking and you're having a dialogue about this very important topic of growth. By the way, I use the term growth and scale up almost interchangeably. Scale up's a little more of a catchy phrase, but it really means growth. So congratulations. It's very important, in fact, it's essential to put the focus of the discussion of entrepreneurship on, put growth back at the center of that discussion. Too much of the discussion has been focused on startups. Startups are great, but the startups are only great from a societal point of view if they grow. So it's important to put growth in the driver's seat of the entrepreneurship dialogue. Growth for many reasons, in part because it creates prosperity, it creates employment, it creates innovation. By the way, it creates innovation. It's also driven by innovation, but it also makes innovation more possible. It also creates wealth, but there's a certain element of that that's potentially problematic. So what is the growth that we're talking about and that we're trying to celebrate? There's something that I call real growth, which is, we use the hashtag sometimes in Twitter, hashtag real growth, to make sure that we're focused on the kind of growth that's driven by increasing revenues, increasing profits, and increasing productivity. The prosperity is not created by more and more new companies. It's created by more and more local companies getting new growth. And that new growth, or the real growth, consists of more and more business activity. It consists of more profitable business activity, selling things at a profit. And it consists of getting more accomplished with fewer resources. One of the problems with the discussion about entrepreneurship in society is that quite unintentionally, it's focused on shareholder wealth creation. And whereas that's important, it should not drive the dialogue. So be a little bit cautious of letting venture capital and equity related aspects of growth become too prominent. Of course, it's natural. You need equity investors to share the risk, but don't let them be in the driver's seat of the dialogue around how entrepreneurship can benefit society. Because, and I've been a venture capitalist, I'm a very active investor in over 24 startup companies all around the world, including Africa, by the way. And of course, I'm interested in shareholder wealth creation. But when venture capital drives the public dialogue of growth, that growth becomes lopsided, and it doesn't become broad-based growth. It becomes very narrow-based growth. Let that real growth drive the dialogue. Let the growth in customers and the growth in customer value drive that dialogue, not the growth in shareholder value. Because if you do that, you'll end up unintentionally, like a lot of other societies, such as Silicon Valley and Boston and others, you'll end up with increasing income and wealth inequality. So that's the kind of growth that needs to be celebrated. It's the new customer. It's the new expansion. It's the new offices. It's the new people, the new talent, the new exports. That's the kind of growth, the real growth that will help create broad-based prosperity. So we've been developing over the last decade the methodologies for actually accomplishing the objective of more and more local firms growing more and more rapidly in order to create broad-based prosperity. And in a nutshell, there are four necessary and sufficient activities that need to be implemented in order for that to happen in a relatively short period of time, 5 to 6, 7 years in a given location. And one of those is to very quickly demonstrate that growth can happen here. Real growth, real business activity can increase here, wherever we are, across a fairly broad base of firms. And growth is normal, but it's not enough. Like the tree falling in the forest and no one hears it. If growth happens and no one knows about it, it's not communicated, it doesn't have an impact or as much impact. And so we teach very systematic methods for communicating growth in certain ways so that it has an impact on other people. It inspires them. It gives them knowledge. Number three, as you're doing today, aligning the stakeholders around growth, but more importantly or more specifically, showing them in each case, because it's different for different kinds of stakeholders. For the public sector, it's different than for educational institutions. How does that kind of growth benefit them, make their job more easy, make it more feasible and efficient for them to achieve their own missions and their own objectives? And then number four, building sustainability into that process. Of course, I've compacted 10 years of learning and a lot of mistakes into just 2 minutes, but that'll give you some sense of what's required in order to actually make this happen. And our experience is that when it does happen in a given city or location, it's irreversible. It becomes a virtuous cycle of positive growth, prosperity, more growth, more prosperity. So I think I'll end by just leaving you with one mantra, so to speak, which I think should guide the dialogue. And that is, it's about getting more and more local firms to have new growth. And if you can do that, if you can change the culture so that it supports that kind of growth in which more and more local firms get more and more new growth, it will help society and it will benefit many, many different stakeholders. So I've already talked too long. I think these kinds of events are essential, very important in getting many stakeholders in many sectors aligned around the prospect and the benefit of real growth. I think that's a great activity. It takes a long time. It's an ongoing process. It never ends. So again, congratulations. Thank you, Denike. Thank you, Fola. One of your great assets is you have great leaders. And these are just two examples of your great leaders. So thank you very much.